Are there businesses that cannot use public cloud? What other issues are there to consider?
Banking is a very typical example of people who need to keep data with regulation compliance requirements. So the first problem with public cloud can be just purely that, the regulations may be that, may stop you from being able to store it that way. Depends which country you're in, depends on the public cloud, particular service that you have. That can be a, one side of the fence or the other from day one. But even if you just look at the cost over the period of keeping that data, you are really looking at a very high level of cost for, say, the regulation is I have to keep that data 7 years. If you take a 7-year period, multiply that out for your data, and then compare that to purchasing a on-prem system or paying a pay-as-you-go model on an on-prem system, it's really unlikely, I would say, that the cloud model is going to be less expensive than the on-prem model. Now, there is an argument that if you don't need to access your data, that actually the cheapest is LTO on the shelf, right? You never have to see the data. You never have to go there. You're just keeping it in order to tick a box in the regulation department. There are always examples of where this kind of thing, suits one technology or the other. Otherwise, all these technologies wouldn't exist, right? But however, in terms of typical, I need to access the data occasionally, look at that over a 7-year period, do your total cost of ownership model work calculations. It really isn't by any means by default going to be cheaper when you're using that storage 24/7 to keep your data. It really isn't necessarily going to be cheaper to do that with a cloud model than an on-prem model. And by doing the cloud model, you may be losing a lot of control over the data that you really should be keeping.